Metallica built their sound on a band most people barely remember. Grunge was alive almost 15 years before Seattle claimed it. Critics called these artists geniuses. Musicians studied them like legends. But radio barely touched them. Here are 12 overlooked bands you probably never knew existed, starting with number 12, King's X. King's X mixed heavy grooves with Beatles-style harmonies and somehow made it sound smooth instead of strange. Their 1988 debut, Out of the Silent Planet, and the follow-up, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, stacked three-part harmonies over crushing, thick riffs that hit hard but still felt melodic. It was bold, different, and way ahead of its time. Tracks like Over My Head, Goldilocks, and It's Love showed off that wild blend. Doug Pinnick's bass tone on those songs became a blueprint for 90s alternative metal. Pearl Jam's Jeff Ament called them his favorite band. Pantera respected them enough to cover their music. That's serious cosigns. In 1990, Faith, Hope, Love should have blown them up with songs like We Were Born to Be Loved and We Are Finding Who We Are. Critics praised them. Fellow musicians hyped them up. But radio stations kept acting like they didn't exist. Then grunge exploded in 1991 and pushed them to the side. They were too heavy for the alternative crowd, too melodic for the metal gatekeepers. They didn't fit a neat label, so the industry didn't know what to do with them. More than 40 years later, they're still touring, still grinding, still underrated. Number 11, The Replacements. Rolling Stone called them the greatest band that never was. Paul Westerberg almost made that title a self-fulfilling prophecy. They started raw and fast, then evolved into emotionally exposed alternative rock that felt honest and messy in the best way. Their 1984 album, Let It Be, ranks number 12 on Spin's Greatest Albums list. That's not small praise. Bastards of Young, I Will Dare, and Unsatisfied showed Westerberg's rough honesty. But just when success was close, they sabotaged it. Playing shows drunk, doing random cover songs at industry showcases, making anti-videos for MTV instead of chasing hits. They had the talent, but they refused to play nice. In 1987, Pleased to Meet Me dropped with Can't Hardly Wait and Alex Chilton, proving they could write perfect pop hooks when they felt like it. Still, they wouldn't follow the industry rules. Billy Joe Armstrong said without them, he'd probably be playing bad speed metal. That's impact. Guitarist Bob Stinson passed away in 1995 due to substance abuse. The band's influence, though, never faded. Kurt Cobain felt it. Wilco built on it. The entire 90s alternative wave carried their fingerprints. The group that could have been Nirvana ended up becoming the blueprint Nirvana followed. Number 10, Big Star. Alex Chilton and Chris Bell created flawless power pop that barely anyone bought. Their debut, number 1 record, got glowing reviews but sold almost nothing because Stax Records distribution collapsed at the worst possible moment. September Girls, 13, and In the Street later became standards covered by countless artists. But at the time, silence. Radio City in 1974 proved they were brilliant songwriters. Then, Third/Sister Lovers went so dark and fragile, it didn't even get properly released until 1978. Peter Buck admitted REM never made a record as good as Big Star's Third. That's serious respect. Paul Westerberg even wrote a whole song called Alex Chilton, imagining a better world where millions had heard him. In the Street later became the theme song for That 70s Show, finally giving them mainstream exposure years later. They shaped REM, The Replacements, Wilco, and almost every power pop band that followed. Industry chaos buried perfection. Number 9, Budgie, a Welsh power trio that sounded like Rush meeting Black Sabbath. Before either band fully defined their sound, Burke Shelley's high vocals soared over Tony Bourge's blazing guitar riffs, creating early heavy metal that was raw, sharp, and fearless. They toured with Sabbath and Judas Priest, yet somehow stayed under the radar. Bread Fan, Crash Course in Brain Surgery, and I Can't See My Feelings hit with thrash-level intensity almost a decade before thrash even had a name. Their 1973 album, Never Turn Your Back on a Friend, was inducted into Decibel's Hall of Fame in 2018, 45 years later. Lars Ulrich was a serious fan. Metallica covered Bread Fan and Crash Course in Brain Surgery. Iron Maiden covered I Can't See My Feelings. In fact, Metallica's cover helped original drummer Ray Phillips during serious financial trouble. Legends respecting legends, but the mainstream still slept on them. Operating out of Cardiff, they stayed local heroes instead of global stars. America barely noticed them, except for a loyal crowd in Texas. Even their name threw people off. Budgie sounded soft, so fans expected something light, not heavy riffs that could shake walls. Still, they went on to influence Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Van Halen, Melvins, and Soundgarden. Quiet name, massive impact. Number 8, Diamond Head. This band basically sketched the blueprint for thrash metal, then watched everyone else turn into legends while they faded into the background. Lightning to the Nations in 1980 was self-financed and became a new wave of British heavy metal classic. Tracks like Am I Evil, Helpless, and The Prince showed riff skills so sharp that Metallica built entire eras around that style. Lars Ulrich called them his #1 favorite band and said they packed more riffs into one song than Sabbath put on a whole album. Metallica's first live show in 1982 featured multiple Diamond Head tracks. They've played Am I Evil over 750 times live. The Guardian even called it the song that defines the NWO-BHM movement. But behind the scenes, chaos. The band was managed by a member's mother. MCA pushed them to sound more commercial. They never toured America while Iron Maiden built a global army of fans. Timing and management crushed momentum. In 2024, Brian Tatler finally shared the stage with Metallica. A full circle moment for the band Metallica built their sound on. Number 7, Husker Du. They started as hardcore punk, fast and loud, then evolved into melodic alternative rock, before alternative was even a label. Their 1984 double album, Zen Arcade, proved punk could have emotional depth and serious songwriting. New Day Rising, Makes No Sense at All, and Don't Want to Know If You Are Lonely blended aggression with melody in a way that felt impossible but worked perfectly. In 1985, Flip Your Wig showed they could write hooks without losing bite. Music critics estimate that more than 70% of alternative musicians cite them as an influence. They laid down the loud, quiet, loud dynamics and emotional honesty that defined the 90s sound. That blueprint didn't appear out of nowhere. Warner Brothers signed them but struggled to market music this far ahead of the curve. They influenced Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Pixies, Foo Fighters, and Green Day. Then they broke up in 1988, 3 years before alternative rock exploded worldwide. Real fans know they were early architects of the whole movement. Before we move to number 6, I want to hear from you. How many of these bands did you already know? Which one shocked you the most? Drop a comment and say where you're watching from. We've got viewers locked in from everywhere. Number 6, Melvins. Kurt Cobain worked as their roadie before Nirvana even existed. He openly called them his favorite band and later helped produce their album, Houdini. Long before grunge went mainstream, the Melvins were shaping that heavy, sludgy crunch, detuned guitars, slow crushing riffs, wild tempo shifts, and strange experiments that felt risky and fearless. Honeybucket, Night Goat, and Boris delivered sludge metal before the genre even had a name. A Japanese drone band literally named themselves after Boris. After Nirvana blew up, major labels rushed to sign the Melvins, then quickly realized they couldn't box them in and dropped them. Too weird, too bold, too real. Drummer Dale Crover played on early Nirvana demos and even introduced Dave Grohl to Kurt Cobain. AllMusic calls them Pacific Northwest doom grunge gods, famously known as Cobain's favorite band. Over 20 studio albums later, they're still independent, still heavy, still underground. They influenced Nirvana, Soundgarden, Tool, Alice in Chains, and the entire Seattle wave. Number 5, Van der Graaf Generator. Peter Hamill's dramatic vocals tackled existential fear and deep philosophical themes with raw emotion that made most prog rock sound safe by comparison. No traditional lead guitar, organ and saxophone took center stage instead, giving their sound a tense, haunting edge. Mojo magazine summed it up perfectly. If Yes were Tolkien and Genesis were Lewis Carroll, then Van der Graaf Generator. Songs like Killer and House with No Door, plus the 23-minute epic A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers, showed prog rock at its darkest and most fearless. This wasn't background music. This was intense, dramatic, and unapologetic. Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden said Peter Hamill was one of his childhood lyrical heroes, adding they had far more depth than Genesis, who he joked were soft in comparison. John Lydon from the Sex Pistols, Graham Coxon from Blur, and even David Bowie were fans. That's a wild mix of respect. Still, their sound was too dark and too demanding for mainstream radio. They didn't water anything down. They found real love in Italy, but struggled almost everywhere else. Over time, though, their influence reached bands like Marillion, Radiohead, Tool, and Steven Wilson. Quiet impact, long shadow. Number 4, Gentle Giant. This was progressive rock at its most complex and brain-twisting. They used over 40 different instruments across their albums. 5 or 6 members could all sing, weaving tight vocal counterpoint that felt like a musical puzzle. They packed massive compositional skill into short songs instead of dragging things out. Knots jumped from layered a cappella to tight counterpoint. Peel the Paint suddenly turned heavy when you least expected it. School Days showed off stunning piano work that felt classy but sharp. The band admitted they just weren't built to be flashy rock stars. By 1977, punk and disco were taking over, and prog was getting labeled bloated and over the top. Gentle Giant needed deep, repeated listens to fully click. No other band sounded like them, which made marketing almost impossible. Fans expecting 20-minute epics were confused when they got tight, compact songs loaded with detail. Over time, though, respect caught up. They received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2015 Progressive Music Awards. Steven Wilson personally remastered their catalog. Their influence runs through Dream Theater, Tool, Haken, and basically every modern prog metal band that dares to get technical. Number 3, The Wipers. The Wipers created the raw blueprint for grunge back in 1980. Emotional punk mixed with hard rock edges and that loud, quiet, loud, dynamic years before Nirvana made it famous. 15 years before anyone used the word grunge, they were already living it. Return of the Rat, D7, and the 10-minute epic Youth of America laid it all out. Based in Portland, far from industry spotlights, they were nearly invisible outside of small circles. But the musicians who heard them paid attention. Kurt Cobain said, "They're the most innovative punk rock band that started the Seattle sound 15 years too early." He also admitted, "We learned everything from the Wipers." Cobain placed 3 Wipers albums on his personal top 50 list. Nirvana covered D7 and Return of the Rat. A 1992 tribute album featured covers by Nirvana, Hole, and Poison Idea. They were too raw for new wave and too melodic for hardcore purists. Early releases were self-funded with weak distribution, so hardly anyone could find them. Still, their DNA runs through Melvins, Mudhoney, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pavement, and Sonic Youth. That's serious reach for a band that barely touched mainstream radio. Number 2, Mission of Burma. Drummer Peter Prescott once described their sound as crossing John Coltrane with the Ramones. That's bold, but accurate. They blended post-punk aggression with sharp modernist experimentation. A fourth member, Martin Swope, manipulated live tapes on stage, creating strange, layered textures that felt chaotic but controlled. That's when I reached for my revolver, Academy fight song, and tracks from their only studio album Versus showed off that sharp edge. Rolling Stone ranked Academy Fight Song among the 100 greatest debut singles ever, landing at number 64. Not bad for a band with such a short run. Guitarist Roger Miller developed tinnitus from their famously loud shows, forcing the band to break up in 1983 just as momentum was building. They released only one full studio album before becoming underground icons. Number 1, Cirith Ungol, doom metal's forgotten originators. While Metallica and Slayer were speeding toward thrash dominance, Cirith Ungol were dragging metal into darker, heavier territory alongside Trouble and Pentagram. They created crushing, ominous music filled with fantasy themes inspired by Tolkien, years before doom metal was even a defined genre. Tracks like Atom Smasher, I'm Alive, and Death of the Sun, plus albums like Frost and Fire and King of the Dead, are now recognized as some of the earliest true doom metal records. That slow, epic heaviness, they were doing it before it had a label. Their Tolkien-inspired name confused people from day one. No one knew how to pronounce it. Some joked calling them Sarah's uncle or Sirius Ungol, which didn't help their image at all. On top of that, their dark, doom-driven sound clashed hard with the thrash wave that ruled the 1980s. Weak promotion and poor label support crushed their momentum before they ever had a fair shot. Their album Paradise Lost dropped just months before Nirvana's Nevermind in 1991, and once grunge exploded, everything else got pushed aside. One critic even called Frost and Fire the worst heavy metal album ever. Brutal take. They reunited in 2016 and finally started getting long overdue respect, but they're still one of the most hidden legends on this list. If this list opened your eyes, make sure to like the video, drop a comment with the band that shocked you most, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. See you in the next video.